Just another girl. Chapter 12. We arrived at the airport with the excitement of any family that goes to Disney. I was wearing jeans, tennis shoes, a t-shirt, and a light zip-up jacket, and my hair was combed back with gel. We checked in our bags, received our boarding passes, and went to the last waiting room. There my dad checked for the 10th time that everything was in order. Passports, visas, checking that they were in place, boarding passes, hotel reservations, everything is here. Speaking to my brother. What are you in charge of? To take care of my sister and not separate from you while we receive the suitcases. If someone gets lost, do you two have the hotel address written down? We both took a card out of the pocket and showed it to him. Do you bring everything you need? My dad asked me. I think so. Well, then, we go through customs, and in the first bathroom we find, you get in and change your clothes. We will wait for you outside. And if at customs they ask what you have in your backpack? It's a present for my friend Sarah who moved here a year ago. I replied. Very well, but I don't think they'll ask you anything. It was time to board. The flight from Mexico City to Los Angeles lasted about 4 hours, and with every minute, my nerves increased. When we finally landed, I was in a state of tension difficult to explain. It felt like the first day of the rest of my life. As we approached the document review at customs, I imagined the worst, that they were going to realize that I had no clothes in my suitcase. That somehow they were going to guess that my plan was to spend those days as a girl and they were going to arrest us, that they were going to accuse my father of some form of abuse and they were going to return me to my mother and Adolf. I thought about telling my father that we should go back and that I promised him never to think about dressing as a girl again, but my dad saw me nervous and just put his hand on my shoulder and told me that everything was going to be fine. Indeed, we received our bags and went through the migration window without any difficulty. The officer only asked me if I was excited to meet Disney. I smiled and nodded my head. I guess a few 10-year-olds have bigger reasons to be excited than going to Disney. Passing the next door, I started looking around for a bathroom. We found one, and my dad sat on a bench outside the bathroom and stood me up in front of him. While he was observing how many people were going in and out of the bathroom, he asked me for the brush that I brought in my backpack, and with it, he brushed my hair so that the girl's cut was visible. The bathroom is full, so you may have to wait before entering a cubicle to change. Don't worry, nobody is going to pay attention to you, so you enter confidently and wait for a cubicle to be vacated and you change clothes. With this hairstyle, no one will doubt anything. I was scared to death. Do you want to change your shoes to look more like a girl? I nodded. Although I kept thinking of telling him that this was too much for me, that I no longer wanted anything. My brother took the shoes out of my backpack, and my dad sat me next to him on the bench and helped me change my boy's tennis shoes for the pink Converse he had bought me. Ready? I nodded even though I didn't really know if I could do it. Go my girl, here we are waiting for you. I started walking, and before crossing the door, my dad called me. Valeria. I turned to see him. We are proud of you. I smiled and entered the bathroom. Inside, it was indeed as crowded as a subway station during rush hour. All the cubicles were full and 2 ladies were waiting their turn. I felt super insecure. I felt like everyone saw me as the kid in the wrong bathroom. I just lined up with my hands together in front of me and my eyes down. Those minutes seemed like hours. Out of the corner of my eye I saw my reflection in the mirror and I couldn't help but raise my face. I saw my reflection and indeed, with my straight hair and the cut I was wearing, it was not easy for someone to suspect me. I tried to crane my neck to see my tennis shoes. I couldn't reach them, so I bent one knee, pulled my ankle with my hand, and with the elasticity that I still had, I raised my foot from behind to the height of my shoulders. Then I could see my pink Converse. I think I looked like any girl who just got off the plane. At that moment, one of the cubicles was vacated and the lady in front of me said, "Do you want to go in, darling? Don't worry, I'll wait for the next one." I smiled, lowered my leg, and entered. After putting the lock on the door, as quickly as I could, I took off my pants, checked my panties, which I was already wearing, and before pulling up my skirt, I paid attention to hiding everything well. I took off my jacket and put it aside, then the t-shirt to put on the sleeveless polo-necked blouse my dad had bought me. I put everything in my backpack and put my jacket back on top of my blouse. I went out hoping not to meet the lady who had offered me the place, straight into the mirror. There I just checked that everything was fine, I gave my hair one last brush and went out. There were my dad and my brother waiting for me. "Like all women," said my brother. "Half an hour to go to the bathroom." "Sorry, it was full and I had to wait," I responded embarrassed. We continue walking towards the car rental company. I don't know how to explain it. If I try to put logic into it, I can't. It was just walking in the airport, but the feeling was totally different. It wasn't even that they turned to look at me, or said nice things to me. People just it doesn't pay attention to 10-year-olds, regardless of gender, but for me, it was totally different. It had been over a year since the time I hung out with Sandy and my friends in the buildings where I lived. In other words, not counting the visit to the stylist, in more than a year I hadn't been dressed like that in public. As I walked, I tried to remember all the lessons from Sarah and Anna. Keep your back straight, walk with your legs closed, you look like a cowboy, move your hips, not your shoulders, and bend your knees. I heard the voices of my friends as I walked through the airport. I remembered them a lot and missed them, especially Sandy. I hadn't seen her since I went on vacation. I never got to say goodbye to her. While we waited for the rental process, I thought that when we got back to Mexico, I could ask my dad to take me to visit them. Would I have to tell him that they only knew Valeria? I better think about it another time. Finally, they gave us a Datsun Maxima. We packed our bags and it was still early to check in at the hotel, so we went straight to a mall. There we first went to the food court to have some breakfast and then we entered Macy's and went directly to the girls' area. I don't know how big it was, but without a doubt, more than twice the size of any boys' area in any store. "Choose what you want," said my dad. "Really? Everything that I want?" "Well, no. Don't go crazy. Choose what you like, and in the end, we choose what we take with us because we only need clothes for the next 15 days. I was still trying to hide my excitement. I didn't know where to start. Skirts? Dresses? With indescribable emotion, I began to look for blouse and skirt sets, which had always been what I liked the most. My hands trembled with emotion, just seeing so many options, and touching the different textures. It was difficult for me to control myself. I had a hard time getting the hooks out. I was dropping things, and I felt clumsy and watched, but at the same time I was enjoying every second. I finally found 2 or 3 that I liked and I showed them to my dad. Of course, they were super girlies. I wasn't sure what to do and I was afraid to go into the locker room. My dad saw them and asked me, "Only this?" "Well, I don't know," I answered uncertainly. "You need clothes for a fortnight. Isn't there anything else you like?" "Yes, of course," I told him, looking at everything around me. "Aren't you going to try it on? Do you think I should?" "Of course, my girl. If not, how will you know that it looks good on you?" He took me by the hand and led me to the girls' locker room. On the way, he grabbed a couple of summer dresses that looked my size and put them in my hands. I show it to the lady in the changing rooms, and I entered. "Try them on and come so we can see you and choose finalists." I smiled and went inside excited. Very carefully I took off the skirt and blouse that I was wearing and put on the first outfit. Look in the mirror and try to take care of every detail. I heard my dad's voice from outside. "How are things with you?" "Good," I answered. "Come out so we can see you." I came out all nervous. As if it was the first time they saw me. It may sound ridiculous, but even with all the support my dad and brother had shown me, I felt ashamed of being seen like this and kept thinking that they would judge me or reject me at any moment. My God, we have to teach her to walk like a girl, said my brother jokingly. That hit me in the pride. Immediately I straightened up. Let's see, walk and turn around, said my dad, showing me where. I walked a few steps like a catwalk and turned in a slightly more feminine way. That suits you very well, said my dad. Right? He asked my brother. He nodded his head. Okay, that's a finalist, my dad said. It was a relaxed fit, round neck, long-sleeved pullover set with a plaid pleated skirt with a side zip and button. Go put on the next one and come back. Meanwhile, I'll see what else I find. Next up was a short straight jean skirt that came with a black patterned t-shirt. I put it on and came out much more confident than the previous time. They were there waiting for me. The skirt, yes, said my brother. But I don't like the shirt. My dad agreed. The shirt was discarded and he gave me more things to try on. The next outing was a yellow sundress with straps, an elastic eased top, an open back, and a slightly flared knee-length skirt with a flounce at the hem. With each outing I felt more self-confident. I began to walk and turn as my friends Anna and Sarah had taught me. At each lap, my brother and dad would rate with thumbs up or thumbs down and we would choose whether to go to finalists or get eliminated. When you pass by here, you take a break, pose, and then continue to where you turn so that we can see you well, my brother told me, and he did it as an example of a crudely effeminate way. My dad stared at him. You too? If you want, at once choose your size. No, said my brother. I was just teaching her to model. We laughed and I started to do as he told me. At each turn, I gave the lady in the dressing room the eliminated clothes, I separated the finalists, and my dad brought me more things to try on. After a few laps, the lady from the dressing room also began to give her opinion. In one of the laps, my dad gave me a black tulle party dress gathered at the waist, sleeveless, with glitter spray on the skirt, and a knitted bodysuit with a mesh yoke at the neck and black 2-inch heeled pumps. I've been fascinated since I saw it, but it seemed strange to me. It was very formal. In case we are going to have dinner at a good restaurant these days, said my dad. I went in and put it on. It was beautiful. And with the high-heeled shoes, I felt the prettiest. I went out to do my catwalk and all three gave thumbs up. My brother even whistled and made me blush. I hadn't been to Disney yet, but for me that day, trying on girls' clothes and modeling for my dad and brother, Macy's was hands down the happiest place on earth. Finally, we got out of there with the black dress, 4 summer dresses, a V-neck jumper, 6 skirts of different styles and materials, about 10 different blouses, black high-heeled ballerinas, other strap-on shoes, white tennis shoes, and a pair of packages of girls' underwear and socks. We also bought some things for my brother and my dad, so we left them all starving. We stopped at a Denny's to eat, and from there we went to Long Beach. My dad still had a couple of surprises for us. During the meal, my dad asked me if I was happy and if I liked what we had bought. Yes, Dad. Thank you. I love everything. Didn't you see her? My brother asked him. I have never seen anyone so happy shopping for clothes. I smiled and blushed a little. But it was true. I had never enjoyed shopping for clothes because I had always wanted what I couldn't even see without guilt. It was still daylight when we pulled up to park in front of a huge, old-style ship, like the Titanic. It was the Queen Mary, effectively an English-built ocean liner from 1936, which after World War II was recovered, restored, and converted into a hotel. That's all for today. If you like this story, you can find all the prior chapters in the channel and some other stories. Please let me know your opinion. Like and subscribe. Valeria.